Rayleigh Instruments, Energy Storage and Management Solutions. Welcome to the RI-ENERGYFLOW-MODULAR Installation Guide. This system must only be installed by qualified personnel familiar with the applicable wiring regulations. Isolate all power supplied to the device prior to undertaking any work on the system. Read the full user manual prior to commencing installation. Start by unboxing one of the modular battery units. Locate the fixing bracket and fixing screws and put them to one side. Remove the battery unit from the packaging. We recommend that 2 people carry out any lifting of the battery and inverter units to avoid injury due to their weight. Place the battery in the location that you want it installed. Now place the bracket onto the battery as shown and fix to the case with the supplied case screws. Then ensure the battery bracket is fully flush with the mounting wall. Mark the fixing points for the bracket on the wall. On the bottom row, use the 2 outermost fixing slots, and on the top row, use the 2 innermost fixing slots. Remove the battery to one side and drill the holes for the mounting screws. For this, you will need an 8mm drill bit and drill each of the 4 holes to a depth of 70mm. Insert the supplied rule plugs and ensure that they are tapped flush. Move the battery back into position and secure the bracket using the supplied fixing screws. Once firmly secure, lift the second battery into place above the first. Attach the bracket to the top of the battery as you did for the first battery. And mark the wall fixing points as before, using the 2 inner top and the 2 outer bottom slots. Then remove the battery to one side, drill and rule plug the holes, and then move the battery back into place. Now fix to the wall using the bottom outer 2 fixing positions only as shown. Open the inverter box and locate the contents. You should have installation instructions, battery connection leads, a wiring and accessories pack, a wall mounting bracket, and a communication dongle. Place these to one side and remove the inverter from the packaging. We recommend laying the inverter face down onto the polystyrene top cover packaging that you have already removed from the box. Undo the screws for the wiring guard panel and remove the guard panel and set to one side. Loosely fix the inverter wall bracket over the top 2 battery bracket holes that you made earlier. With a spirit level, check that the bracket is vertical and mark the positions of the top 2 fixing slots. Drill the holes with an 8mm drill bit to a depth of 70mm as before. We recommend you use a vacuum cleaner or some other dust collection method so that the dust does not collect on the batteries that you have installed. Place the roll plugs and fix the bracket firmly into position using the 4 fixing positions. Connect the supplied inverter battery communication lead to the plug located on the back of the inverter. Lift the inverter into position on the top battery, making sure that the tab on the back of the inverter engages with the slot on the top of the inverter wall bracket. Next, secure the inverter to the battery housing using the supplied screws. There are 2 screw fixing points on the PV grid side and another 2 on the battery connection side. Next, unscrew the communications port cap on the top battery and connect the other end of the communications cable that you connected to the back of the inverter earlier, making sure it is screwed down securely. This enables communication between the battery and inverter. Remove the 3 retaining screws on each of the battery access panels and open them to reveal the battery connection ports. Slide the supplied battery inverter earth cable through the gap to the rear of the inverter and connect to the earthing point on the battery. Next, connect the other end of the earth cable to the earthing point on the opposite side of the inverter. For a single battery installation, remove the inverter and battery connector cover plugs and using the short negative and positive cables, connect the inverter to the battery. Make sure the cables are pushed home firmly and that you have not removed the unused cable cover plugs, as this is to help prevent any water ingress. For a 2-battery installation, start by installing the earth cable between the spare earth port on battery 1 to one of the earthing points on battery 2. Now unscrew the bottom communication port cover on battery 1 and connect the communication lead. Next, unscrew the top communication port cover on battery 2 and connect the other end of the communication lead. This allows the inverter to see and communicate with battery 2. As for a single battery installation, connect the short negative lead between the inverter and battery 1. This time, connect the inverter with the long lead to the bottommost positive terminal on battery 2. Then connect the bottom 2 negative and positive terminals on battery 1 to the top negative and positive terminals on battery 2. For energy flow measuring using a current transformer, connect the positive S1 white lead from the CT to terminal 1 of the CT meter plug. Then connect the negative S2 black CT lead to terminal 2. Screw down the plug housing and tighten down the cable grommet. Check the plug orientation and insert into the CT meter socket, ensuring it is fully seated and the retaining ring is firmly screwed into place. At the other end, clip the CT over the live mains incomer. This method of connection is effective for distances of up to 50 meters between the inverter and mains in, and uses the inverter to calculate the house load to enable discharge from the battery. Ensure the arrow on the CT is pointing in the correct direction. When placed between the consumer unit and the mains incoming meter, the arrow should point towards the meter. For greater distances, the connection should be made via Modbus to a suitable energy meter. In this case, connect the positive A lead to terminal 3 of the CT meter plug and the negative B cable to terminal 4. Note that the inverter should only be connected via a current transformer or a meter, but not both. Assemble the plug housing and plug into the inverter as before. We recommend the use of Belden 9841 shielded twisted pair cabling, or equivalent, for all your Modbus connections. The other end of this connection should be to the Modbus terminals of a suitable energy meter. In this scenario, the meter calculates the house load and sends the information via Modbus to the inverter for the inverter to control discharge from the battery. Note that the Modbus connection should only be earthed at one end. To complete this method of measuring the energy usage, connect the white S1 positive lead and the black S2 negative lead from the current transformer to the meter. As before, clip the current transformer over the live mains incomer and ensure the arrow on the CT is pointing in the correct direction. For the AC connection, wire the AC connector plug with live, neutral and earth wires into the corresponding terminals. To assemble, push the two parts of the plug housing together until the retaining clips snap into place. Note that a blue plastic tool is supplied should you need to gain access to the plug connections at a later date. Plug the AC connection plug into the socket labelled On Grid. The retaining clip will snap into place when correctly seated. Note that in the event that you might need to remove this plug, this can be done by depressing the retaining clip with a flat screwdriver blade and sliding the plug off. Connect the other end of the AC connection to your inverter isolator switch. To connect the PV side of the inverter, remove the rubber stoppers from the positive and negative PV1 sockets. Using the supplied plugs fitted to your PV cables, plug the positive and negative plug into their respective sockets until the retaining clips snap into place. Note that we have supplied a special tool designed to depress the plug retaining clips should you need to remove these plugs at any time. The PV1 connection sockets are in the central bank of sockets and should be used for a single PV solar array. The inverter is also equipped with the capacity for a second PV solar array using the positive and negative PV2 ports. This PV connection should always be made to your PV array via a DC isolator switch. For remotely monitoring the functioning of your RI-ENERGYFLOW-MODULAR system, you have two choices. The first is by using the plug-in dongle. Locate the COM port on the inverter and unscrew the covering cap. Then simply plug in the dongle and screw home the retaining ring. For this option, you will need to download the remote monitoring app to your smartphone or tablet and have a Wi-Fi connection. The second method is to connect to a rayleighconnect gateway. To do this, wire the Modbus cable into the supplied connector plug and plug it into the COM port as before. Then wire to the Modbus terminals on your RayleighConnect gateway. More details on the requirements for the mobile app and RayleighConnect systems can be found in the description below. Locate the DC isolator switches on each of the installed batteries and switch to the on position, then refasten the covers. The battery charge level indicators on the front of the batteries will illuminate. If it does not illuminate, press and hold the start button on the front of the battery for 3 seconds. On the front of the inverter, under the access panel, switch the battery switch and the PV switch to their on positions. Next, switch the DC isolator switch and the AC isolator switch to their on positions. Access the inverter operating menu using the 4 push buttons on the front of the inverter. They are the back button, page up, page down and return buttons. Press the back button until the user menu appears. Select Setup by pressing the return button. Enter the input password by using the page up or page down buttons and press return for each digit. The factory set passcode is 00000. Select System Setting, then Work Mode, then Self-Consume. Select Disable and press Return. Use the back button to go back up the menus to the setup screen. Scroll down to Grid Standard and press Return. Next, scroll down to UK and press Return. Go back to Setup and scroll down to Battery Setting and select. Scroll down to Menu Item 8, Battery Wake Up, and press Return. Scroll to Time and select. Enter your desired battery wake-up time. In this example, we set it to 5 minutes. Navigate back up to the setup screen. Scroll down to CT or meter and press Return. In this example, we are using a meter, so scroll to Meter and select. Then scroll to the meter type and press Return. Now scroll all the way back up to the power screen. The working of the inverter and battery can be tested by putting a load on the system. On the inverter screen, you will see the inverter take over the load from the grid. Press the Page Down button to illuminate the screen and again to see the battery load. Paging up again, you will see that the inverter has fully taken over the supply from the grid. For a full list of checks to carry out, please read the inverter and battery final installation checklist. To finish the installation, close and secure the battery side access panels. Slide into position the cable cover panel and secure in place by tightening the finger screws on each side of the case. Rayleigh Instruments. Energy storage and management solutions. Contact us now for more information.